Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Yinzer Brothers podcast. I am TJ. I'm here with my brother Tim, and we together are the Yinzer Bros. Today is a great day. We are having the Steelers-Eagles recap. Your Pittsburgh Steelers beat the hated Philadelphia Eagles 38-29 this last Sunday, and that moves the Steelers to 4-0. A lot of things to be happy about with the victory, and some things that may be a little bit of a concern. For those of you that are watching on YouTube, you see clearly Tim has on the Franco's Italian Army victory helmet back from the 70s. If you're just listening on the podcast, it's glorious. It's absolutely amazing.
It is.
Four winning podcasts. The helmet's been out 4 times. So that's a good track record, right?
Yeah. Things are looking well.
I mean, the helmet's from the 70s. The helmet made many trips to Three River Stadium during the run. In fact, the Steelers are 4-0. The last time they were 4-0, Tim, can you tell me a little bit about the last time the Steelers were 4-0?
Last time the 4-0, I believe the Pittsburgh Steelers won the Super Bowl.
That is correct. You know the year.
1979?
1979 it was. That's Bradshaw's last year. That was it.
I also have another fun fact. I don't know if the audience really cares or wants to hear it.
We want to hear. The audience wants to hear, Tim.
Last time the Steelers started 4-0, 9 months later.
That's true.
Your co-host, Tim Mateo, was born. Celebration time.
So we have a theory, Yinzer Brothers fans. Again, we're here for the fans, about the fans. We made a startling discovery. In 1979, Pittsburgh was deemed the city of champions. You had the We Are Family Pirates.
We're still a city of champions.
We are still a city of champions. That's true. We had the We Are Family Pittsburgh Pirates in 1979. I was alive, and I did watch that World Series. And then that same year, the Pittsburgh Steelers hoisted the Lombardi Trophy. And lo and behold, we did the math. Sometime in October, November, Tim went from just a twinkle in our parents' eye to a full-fledged human being. And 9 months later, June, Tim is here. So we believe that Tim was a victory baby.
I mean, I had to have been a victory baby. I mean, there's no other solution.
That's true. So you were born amongst winning. How does that make you feel, Tim?
It's in my blood. I breathe it in. I blow it out. It's in my blood.
You breathe it in and you blow it out. Yeah, yes. I'll tell you what you do. So so that's a good way to start the podcast today, right? It's great. Tim, the victory baby, and me, TJ, the Hall of Famer. We're here talking about the Steelers today and the win. And again, we had some interesting things to talk about. Let's talk about the offense first. The Pittsburgh Steelers offense puts up 38 points.
Mm-hmm.
That's not too shabby at all. It's a good day's work, right?
Mm-hmm.
What were some of your keys to the offense? What did you like about the offense that you saw on Sunday?
I mean, should I start it out? I mean, I like to personally wish him a happy Thanksgiving in Canada. Oh, Canada,
That's
number
true.
11, my guy.
Your guy.
My guy, Chase Claypool. Hail to Notre Dame, my guy.
Now, just so you guys know, Tim, when we drafted Claypool,
I don't know what
I
you're
just
talking
remember
about.
texting him one word, stud. And he was like, this guy's a bum from Notre Dame. Right?
I threw in Notre Dame. I don't know if I said bum.
I think bum was probably a good word that you would use. Probably a good word. You probably use worse words than bum.
I would not talk about my Canadian savior like this.
He is a stud. He had quite a game, didn't he?
Yeah, he's good at football.
Oh, you think? So he's a bright spot, I would say. Let me see if I got some stats on him. Again, and his stats are mighty stats. Let's see. Chase Claypool, 7 receptions, 110 yards, almost 16 yards an average, 4 TDs, three through the air, 1 running. That's a good day at the office, Tim.
I mean, it's a good day when probably I'd say 2.5 to 3 minutes after the game, I am actually on the Pittsburgh Steelers website ready to make that purchase of a Chase Claypool jersey. Came real close. If they would have gave me another 5% off, would have been in the mail today.
The cart to the mail. So let me ask you a question. How committed to Chase are you? Are you committed enough to perhaps pick up a Notre Dame jersey?
No. No. I mean, no. There's no way. I mean, the greatest player that ever came out of Notre Dame, I mean, put Notre Dame on the map, has Western Pennsylvania blood flowing through his veins, is a winner, all-time great, maybe the GOAT, Joe Montana. I would never buy his Notre Dame jersey. You're out of your mind. Out of your mind. I'd buy his high school jersey. Yeah. He's from Pittsburgh. Never. No.
So Claypool's a bright spot. Any other bright spots? Any other keys to the offense for the Steelers?
Oh, Ebron was close to making the list, man.
Hold on to the ball, Ebron.
He was with Ebron. You knew you were going to get some soul-crushing drops. That he had me quite nervous. Highlights. I thought they handled. It was tough the line was tough to kind of judge because I thought they handled Philly well, but they were throwing a lot of quick stuff. So. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the running game really wasn't great. Ben looked great. The short game worked. Little nervous that seeing DeCastro and Pouncey get a little banged up. But I thought they handled.
Have you heard anything from them yet? I know we're usually waiting for the Tuesday press conference.
I haven't heard anything. I heard after the game, DeCastro. I mean, for them to rule him out that quick during the game. Kind of gets you a little bit nervous. Pouncey,
it's not a knee, right? It's an abdomen. So
something with the abdomen, which to me is a mind-boggling for a lineman to have something wrong with your abdomen. All I'm
saying is this: if they're going to give him a shot, watch the lungs.
Exactly. Yes, you're right. Pouncey gets me a little nervous because I was towards the end of the game, but I mean, that Philadelphia defensive line is no joke.
You're right.
I mean, I thought they handled them fairly decent, but I think the major thing to that game was, it was Ben and 7-11. I mean, those guys were incredible. What did you think? Anything else besides those?
Well, here's some interesting stats to back up some of the things you're talking about. Speaking of Ben was on third down, 13 for 13, 161 yards, 2 TDs.
Insane.
13 for 13. That's like superhero numbers. That's like Marvel numbers. And how about this? Ben right now at 2.3 seconds per release has got the number one quick release for QBs in the NFL. 2.3 seconds. Mm-hmm. So whatever they're doing with Ben's great. Now we know this with Ben, the deep ball is not there yet. It's funny. I was watching an interview and he said he feels like maybe they made his arm a little too strong. Again, deep ball is tough to throw. He's got new wide receivers too. So he's got to figure out what that looks like. But I'm with you. Obviously, Claypool is a stud. Have I mentioned before, Tim, that he's a stud?
He's good at football, man. He is good at football.
6'4.5", 240 pounds, 4.40. He's a stud.
He's my guy.
He's your guy. So again, I think Ben is back. That's huge for us to know that Ben is doing what he likes to do, what he needs to do. Mm-hmm. And not just his arm is back, but Ben's brain is back. That last play, that last throw to Claypool, he moves everybody around. If you see on that, he sends Juju, changes Juju's route, sends him out to pull the safety. Claypool is, that poor linebacker is trying to cover Chase Claypool all by himself. I think you and I could have ran past that linebacker.
See, at times like that, that's when you just gotta, if you're that linebacker and you know what's happening in front of you, you take one step back, grab your hammy, and just hit the ground. That's what I would have done. It just, you save face a little bit, say hammy just popped.
That's what you do, man. I'll tell you what, Ben is sharp. In fact, to continue Ben's prowess, I believe right now he is number 5 in QB rating in the league. He's just on fire. I mean,
I like it, but how many attempts did he have? I really didn't.
35, I think. 35 attempts.
Which is not bad, but I still want to see him in that 28 to 32, 31, maybe even a little bit 25 to 30. I just got to get the running game going a little bit more. I was thoroughly. I was kind of surprised not seeing McFarland a little bit more. You saw him here and there. Snell looks terrible. It
Yeah.
seems like since he had that fumbling issue, I don't know if he's just being too cautious with the ball. He's not hitting holes, not playing natural, not playing free. Anytime he's in the game, he looks bad. Connor looked a lot better. I think he was breaking a lot of tackles that you didn't see earlier in the year. But they got to get the running game going against teams. You got to slow down that pass rush a little bit with those good defensive lines with some pretty solid running, man.
You do. Now, this is, I didn't think the Steelers would be able to run the ball because I think you're right. The Eagles' front line is just too tough. Connor, 15 attempts, 44 yards, not great. 3 yards a carry. They had that one nice play to Ray McLeod. That was pretty good. Yeah. He had 2 attempts for 63 yards. Snell, 7 attempts, 19 yards. Nothing great. But again, you're right. It was a tough line. I got to say this. One of my pluses for the offense too was I thought Fichtner had a great offensive game plan. I mean, one of the things that I liked was this. I mean, I think the game plan was to go to Claypool. And Claypool,
I see. That's what I don't know, man. I think that game plan changed once Deontay Johnson went out. I think Deontay Johnson was going to be the one guy. I think he was going to be the focus in that game plan a lot. When he went out, because I even heard Claypool say in some interview afterwards, he wasn't anticipating playing even as much as he did the previous week, this week. So I think when Johnson went out early, that kind of shifted everything to give Claypool a lot more opportunity, see him on the field a lot more in those 3 wide receiver sets and whatnot. So I don't know if that, even like the last play you're talking about, they were saying that's usually Ebron's route where Claypool was, where Ben made that adjustment. Claypool didn't even know where he was going. Ben had to tell him. So I think if Deontay Johnson doesn't get hurt, I don't know if Claypool has that game that he has.
Mm-hmm. No, I think you're right. I mean, here's the thing too with Johnson. He's got to stay healthy. He took a shot to the back or something like that. Yeah. Again, he's not the biggest receiver in the world, but he's got to stay healthy. We need his quickness. But I'll tell you what, when the Steelers have all of their offensive weapons, good night. They're tough to beat. I mean, even, Ebron put the ball on the ground and he's got to work on, it's one thing to drop the ball. It's another thing to give the ball away. Yeah. When you get it, you can't do that. Again, any concerns for the offense? I mean, I know we got the offensive line we're a little worried about. We don't know how healthy we are.
I will tell you, man, that I mean, the Castro is the Castro. He's fantastic. He's an all-pro. That rookie, every time you watch him a couple plays, just kind of like look at him, he just mauls people, man. So to me, I think they found a good one with him. The Pouncey thing gets me nervous because he kind of makes that whole entire line tick. And I will say this, man, it's like night and day seeing Switzer compared to Ray or what is not. It's you're kind of going, man, this is what your return game's supposed to look like. Yes. These are the quick kind of slot receiver stuff you're supposed. It's like night and day, man. Getting this, I don't know how they found him or how they got him. They should be thanking their lucky stars they stumbled upon him, man, because he has been a huge upgrade.
Yeah, you're right. Switzer was stealing money from the Steelers. I mean, he just was. So who is your offensive player of the game, Tim?
Oh, Canada, our home and native land.
Claypool is a stud. He is. I tell you, I was going back to what did Hayden say about him early when he got into camp? What did he say?
I believe it was look out or watch out or something of the sort. This guy's something or something.
Wasn't he like this guy's going to be trouble? Is that what he said?
Yes, that's what it is. This guy's going to be a problem. A problem. A big 6'4", 6'5". I don't even. He looks like he's 6'12" out there. He just love it. It's fantastic.
I heard instead of calling him Megatron, I heard the guys were calling him what do they call him?
Mapletron.
Mapletron. That's right, for Canada. Hey, I don't care what you call him. Just keep rolling them in. I'm going to echo your sentiments, and I'm going to say Claypool, and I'll give it to Ben too. I think Ben put him in the right place at the right time. And again, you know what? Claypool could have had even more yards and more catches. That one penalty they called on him, that push off, was garbage. Down the sideline.
There were a lot of bad calls that game, and to see a lot of people from Philadelphia kind of saying there is the Steelers were getting calls left and right. I'm going to be like, were we watching the same game? Like, I understand that there was some bad calls both ways, but you had the Claypool call. I swear Joe Hayden, the league office must hate him or something. He gets like one awful pass interference call game, which doesn't make any apparent sense to me. But yeah, that Claypool one was, and truthfully, if that doesn't happen, that puts them away really early. You're probably not even worried about that comeback that they came back with. It just, to me, it was just a brutal call. Brutal call.
It was terrible. They got to do a better job at that. That was absolutely terrible. You can't. That there's no. You can't. I don't. That's totally unacceptable. They got to figure that out. That's just garbage. So let's move over to the defensive side of the ball. I think you and I are in one accord with this. The defense did not look great. I mean, they came up when they had to, but it wasn't their best performance. What are some of your thoughts about the defense just early on?
I was trying to think about this, kind of like going back and saying, what did I see? And it's like, it's one of those weird things. The defensive whole just didn't play good, but you're trying to pick out specific guys and you really can't. It was a collective. They just played like crap. I mean, didn't seem like they were getting a ton of pressure up front, which then in turn can expose your back end. But those guys in the back end got to be able to cover too. Like, I love Mike Hilton. He's been great for us all year. You get him in coverage, it's a problem.
He's small. He's not very big. He's not very fast. I mean, he's great. He's great for tackles. He's great to bring him in on these special blitzes. But he's got to be on your slowest, smallest receiver, or else he's inadequate.
Now, for me, it's just I don't to see a guy, some bum, get that loose on them. I don't know if it was communication in the secondary or if it was just they couldn't cover, because a lot of it, there was nobody around the guy half the time. Yeah. He made a couple great catches. I'll give him that. But there's a lot of times there's nobody around him. I'm kind of going, what is going on? Is it communication things? Is it what? And I hate to say it, like, yeah, Minka has been nowhere. And I know you threw a stat out to me saying,
he had one target up to last week.
They're not targeting, but when you think of getting up a first round pick, I'm thinking of Troy and the impact he made when people stayed away from him.
Oh yeah.
It didn't matter if you're staying away from him. He found ways to turn the ball over, to that. When you're wasting that much on somebody, you're expecting that type of impact. And he's been nowhere, which is weird to me.
Now, I did see something interesting, and I could be wrong. So correct me on this if I'm wrong. But I do see that Mika, for the most part, is playing strong safety, and Troy played free safety more, which gave him a little bit more lead.
I thought Troy played more the strong side because I thought Ryan. I don't know. I thought he played more of the strong stuff because I thought he was more playing in the box and stuff like that. But I don't know.
You see Edmund coming up more. Dear Lord, that one play where Mika hits the guy with his shoulder, doesn't wrap up. That's terrible. You can't do that against good teams. Now, I blame a lot of that on the defense coordinator too, Butler, because he made no adjustments. He didn't adjust to double team. What's that? Was that stud receiver? He wasn't a stud, but the guy that they had, I forget his name.
I can't remember his name. That's how Gage or something
Fulgham. So he didn't double team him till like the last drive of the game. So, he didn't switch up. He ended up putting Joe Hayden right on him at the end. He was just killing us up to that point. So again, I blame that adjustment on them. He's the only guy doing any damage. Ertz was almost non-existent. You know what? Shut him down. I don't know why we didn't shut him down. And I got to say this too. I saw Watt personally get ridiculously held at least 4 or 5 times. I mean, I'm talking like bear hug, like what I got to do, to hang with these guys. They weren't calling anything off that side too. And again, Wentz, I thought he played a much better game. He looked more like the Wentz of last week when they beat San Francisco than he did the first couple games of the year. Still wasn't great through 2 picks, but
I agree, but he didn't seem like, he was getting pressured here and there more towards the end of the game, but during the middle of the game, it seemed like they always brought that. They were trying to do that blitz up the middle that they do a lot, and they were picking it up, and he was just picking them apart, which it's like, kind of scary. And you really didn't see Tuitt. Tuitt made one big play towards the end, but you didn't see Tuitt and Hayward kind of pushing pushing the pocket. And I mean, Bud had a play at the end, but he was non-existent until the end of that game.
Yeah. And Alu didn't do much either. I mean, he plugged up a little bit up the middle.
I'm not expecting Alu to kind of be a force. I'm expecting your guys like Tuitt, your guys like, hey, those guys got to be a force. And they're just
Vince Williams, I mean, all those guys have got to be coming hard.
They got to be forcing. Like I said, I don't know. You didn't hear too much from Bush. I just don't know if he's doing his job, making tackles left and right. But I didn't see too much of him. It just the impact. The guys you're thinking that's gonna impact the game with a turnover here and there, you're not seeing. I'm not seeing Bush. I'm not seeing Minka. You know, those guys are game changers. They got to make game changing plays.
They are. You're right. I'm looking at solo tackles again. Hilton led the whole thing with 8 solo tackles. Let's see. Bush didn't have. Bush had a couple. That's it. So he didn't really have that great of a game either. And again, you know, a lot of it went to the wide receivers. Got to say, Nelson had a heck of a game. He had a couple picks. He looked strong. He looked good. We needed a good turnout from Nelson again, which is good. I think our third down is just atrocious. We cannot get off the field. And I heard a stat. I'm trying to remember. I think coming up to this game, we were in the bottom third of the league for third down. And I'm sure we did worse after this because, the Eagles made us.
But to me, it's one of those things. It seems they get that third and long, and it seems like they automatically get into that prevent defense.
They do.
I would rather see them send the house and maybe get beat deep if it happens, it happens. But you're supposed to have those outside rushers and put pressure on the quarter, make him make that decision quicker than what's happening now, because you start getting against better teams. You let them have as many third downs as they had. It's going to be an issue, big time.
No, you're right. Hey, and I think back to some of the stuff that Derek Gunn had talked about. One of his keys to the game for the Eagles was turnovers, and we did win the turnover battle, but Ebron was trying to give that thing away a lot more than he could have. So at least we got that back. And again, the Steelers, the defense came up big when it needed to. One of the things that I was happy about this game, it seemed like the offense. Every once in a while you need the offense to put, just get on their back and just have them take you in. So who was your defensive player of the game? If you had to pick a good one, who was your
Terrell Edmonds?
Are you serious?
No. Even if he could have 7 sacks, a fumble recovery, 3 interceptions, and I will never say his name. The guy that I'll put as my defensive guy, probably Nelson. I think he had a pretty good game. You're picking out of, it seemed like kitty litter. I don't know. It just Nelson or it's about TJ. I don't know. Probably Nelson. I'd go with Nelson.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think Nelson's too. Just as a side note, again, the Steelers still did have 5 sacks for 34 yards. They got to bend one time for 8. So I
think those sacks kind of they have 2 or 3 towards the end of the game.
You know what? Sack. Toward the end of the game when you're playing catch up, he's dropping back to pass.
I know.
So it's again, a win is a win. So we take the victory. We're 4-0. It's a whole lot better sitting at 4-0 than it is, hey, we should have won 3 games. We're 1-3, or whatever it is. So a win is a win.
But I'm going to hark back to what I've been saying. And I know Derek said the same thing. How good are the Steelers? That's what they have beaten. They have 4 wins against teams that have a total of 2 wins all year.
Yeah.
I think this week's going to be a test, man. I hate to say, I hate the Browns. I still think they're going to collapse at some point, and I'm going to love every second of it when it happens. But this is going to be a good test for them. I
think you're right. I think it will be. So when you look at the Browns, we'll have a stronger test against Cleveland. Now, by no means, I know Cleveland is they're 3-1.
Yeah.
And just, they've not beaten any juggernaut.
Colts are pretty good, man.
The Colts were 3-2. That's the best one they played. They did beat Dallas. It's 2-3, but Dallas isn't a juggernaut. They got their defense stinks. The Bengals are what are they 1-2-1 now or whatever they are, and then they beat the Washington football team. So you're talking about these guys. We don't have guys that beat a lot of people. They didn't either, other than the Colts. And do the Colts really scare you?
Oh, Philip Rivers stinks, man.
Exactly. So I'm not worried about that. And just, they did win last week, but you know what? Baker Mayfield, 2 picks. He didn't look that great. No,
I agree. I mean, Baker didn't look good, but what gets me nervous about the Browns is the helmet smasher, face smasher. He's playing good ball, man, and I'm petrified that they're going to be dealing with him that whole game. I just got visions of him being in Ben's face all game. So I don't know, especially with that line. I'll feel a little bit more fuzzy inside if I know Pouncey at least is a good to go. But
no, they did. That didn't. I think Cleveland lost one of their starting cornerbacks too, didn't they? Is he on IR?
Yeah, they lost him. Yeah, I mean,
That's okay.
I mean, the only person that I'm scared of on their defense is I can't even remember. I keep calling him helmet face smasher. It's all I see is Mason's face, like
Keep
smash.
Mason away from that guy, man.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind sending Mason out there just for the coin toss, see if he does it again, just to get him kicked out of the game first for the deal with him. But I don't know. I mean, I don't think anybody's going to run on the Steelers. Like I said, Philly had that one big run. Other than that, they didn't do nothing.
No, they didn't.
So
you take that big runaway, and they have. I'm trying to see where I had that stat that where
I think they had like 20 yards.
Yeah, if you take that away, so I think the Steelers will be fine with that. So if you make Baker Mayfield beat you, I don't know if he can.
That's what you're going to have to do, because it seems like the Browns have been running on everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So if you shut down their run game, you got to make Baker beat them. But I mean, you're not dealing with these two receivers they got. They're no slouches. I mean, we haven't faced two receivers like this all year. And to see some bum from Philadelphia, they get cut 9 to other teams, tear them up, gets you a little nervous, man.
Yeah, I hear you. We'll see what happens. I mean, he had a good game against San Francisco last week too, so I think they'll be okay. Now, before we take a hard look into next week, and we'll take a peek into it, let's take a look inside the Yinzer mailbag. Again, for those of you that don't know what the Yinzer mailbag is, this is an opportunity for you to ask anything that you want to of the Yinzer brothers. This is your chance to shine. This is your chance to get national exposure, because our podcast is national, because we are listened to in more than one state. And I'll just leave it there. If you'd like to ask us any questions, you have any comments about the show, you can email us at yinzerbros@gmail.com. Again, that's yinzerbros@gmail.com. So we do have a few gems inside the Yinzer mailbag. Your buddy Mark asked us this first question. Did you know that at one time the Steelers and the Eagles were a combined team? They were called, do you know what they were called, Tim?
Pass. Pass on that whole question. Throw that question out. Burn that question.
They were the Steagles, Tim. They were the Steagles.
I'm honestly thinking about giving Marky Mush that could be strike one to the Yinzer mailbag. You get 3 strikes. You cannot write in for at least 2 weeks.
You're kicked out of the prestigious Yinzer mailbag. Yeah, that's a big one.
They were the Steagles? Eagles?
They were the Steagles. Did they do that during World War II or something?
Who cares? Who cares?
That's true. We get a big combined.
Who cares? We're 4-0. I don't care. Who cares? I don't care.
So here's another question, something in the Yinzer mailbag. What did you Yinzer Bros do when there was no game last week? Why no podcast? Tim could have at least talked about his pumpkin patch experience. So Tim, you did take your little peanut to the pumpkin patch.
Yeah.
What was that like, taking your daughter to the pumpkin patch, her first pumpkin patch?
What is it like? You understand my wife, she doesn't like germs. She's more scared of the COVID than I am. Put the kid down, and what does she instantly do? She takes those little wood chips, starts throwing them, ready to put them in her mouth. Wife has no hand wipes. I think we were at the pumpkin patch for maybe 13 and a half minutes. She got some great pictures. It was a new experience for her. We put her down first. She started crying. Kind of picked her up. She was fine after that. Put her back down. Got a couple good pictures, and got home and got about 3 pumpkins outside my house, just sitting there. So we'll see. It went well. She had a good time.
Good. Now, are you going to be carving any pumpkins this year for your little daughter?
I think we will be carving a pumpkin at some point here. Maybe this weekend coming up. We got a bigger one to carve. So we'll see what happens. It should be interesting. We got a nice little Halloween costume. She's ready to go.
Good. Well, what is she dressing up as this year?
She is dressing up as Elsa.
Elsa
from Frozen.
Now, Tim, I heard you also have a costume this year. What is your costume going to be, Tim?
I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be coming through customs in enough time. What Daddy Bear has I am Daddy Bear. I have a full Olaf mascot costume, and when I ordered it, I thought it was coming from made in the USA right from here, but unfortunately, it is coming from China, and I'm petrified that the size that I got may fit a large child and not an extra large male of my mass.
What size did you get, Tim?
I got the biggest size that you could possibly think of. But as anybody knows, if you ever order anything from Amazon and that thing comes from China, a men's extra large is pretty much a women's medium. So we'll see how this goes.
We're going to see how committed you are. We're going to see if you could squeeze into that costume, I think.
I'm going to have to air it out for 72 hours in my garage because in fact, I actually got an email back because I ordered the 23rd and I've been wondering where it is. And I finally emailed the lovely company today and I got an email back. And I think a third of the email back was in English. A third of the email back was in Chinese. A third of the email back was in something hieroglyphics that I've never seen in my entire life. So we will see if I even get it. But yes, I am supposed to be Olaf, and I plan on running through the neighborhood, terrorizing the children, passing out candy as Olaf.
That's a good plan. I like it. That's a very good plan. Hey, if it works, it works. Here's another communique in the Yinzer mailbag. It says, are you guys at all worried about Big Ben? Are you worried about Big Ben, Tim?
Am I worried about Big Ben?
Mm-hmm.
7?
Yeah, big 7. Are you worried about him? I mean, how's he look so far to you? He looks
Baby
good to me.
Jesus himself.
Pretty close.
Am I worried about Big Ben? All I'm worried about is 7 championships. That's all I'm worried about.
Right, baby.
I will say this. I do get a little nervous anytime they do kind of a close-up on Ben and he's doing, kind of stretching the forearm out where the elbow goes, or he's kind of wincing, grabbing it. I'm going to go, you get nervous. That you're just like, all this 4-0 crap could just be gone at a snap of a dime. But no, man, he looks like he's made of titanium in iron. He's the man. He's Ben. He's Ben.
You remember, was it a couple of weeks ago we talked about who was it where they were talking about the best quarterback he's ever had, and he said Andrew Luck. He considers Andrew Luck the greatest quarterback ever.
Yes.
And you remember my counterpoint was longevity has to be factored into there. And Luck had no longevity. He couldn't stay healthy. Mm-hmm. And then lo and behold, Dak Prescott is playing his brains out.
Yeah. And
man, what a terrible injury that was Sunday. Our heart goes out to Dak, man. You don't want to ever see anything like that at all again. But to my point, longevity is a big deal. Ben's been in the league for 17 years. Mm-hmm. So that has to factor into being one of the greatest QBs of all time. It's not just about stats. It's also about your durability, especially, nowadays, because who knows, Dak comes back. What kind of QB is he going to be back when he gets back from this injury?
I don't know. I mean, that looked of like Alex Smith leg type of injury. So I don't know, man, that was ugly. And you feel bad. I mean, he's won his contract and, I know he's got that franchise tag. That's why these players want to get that contract and they don't want to sign that franchise tag because of this happening. And you're seeing it more and more now, than anything. But I don't know. I mean, I agree with you. Longevity is a part of it, and and it's just, but that kind of does what you think of Tom Brady and you think of Peyton. Ben has been out his fair share of games. Even though he's had his longevity, he's been hurt even early in his career. There would go stretches he'd be out for 4 or 5 weeks, stuff like that. Guys like Brady, besides, I know Manning had the neck thing, but Brady rarely misses a game over his whole career. I think he had his ACL that 1 year. Yep. Other than that, you don't remember Brady ever missing a game. I mean, I still don't think Brady's human. I think he's a robot. They just have
he's a Terminator.
I do. I really do. Yeah. But like you see that, and you see like people like Peyton that, they don't miss games. But I feel bad for Luck because I think he could have been there. But again, that line that they put in front of him was brutal. But the more I thought about this, on the flip side, some of them lines Ben played in front of stunk also, and he's getting the crap kicked out of him.
His early lines were absolutely terrible. They just weren't that good.
So, I mean,
do you think it's possible? Do you think Luck's not that old yet. Do you think he might just wake up one day and say, you know what, I'm going to give it another shot? If you're the Pittsburgh Steelers and Andrew Luck knocks at your door, do you give him a shot?
Do I give him a shot?
Uh-huh.
Do I give him a shot?
Uh-huh.
I give him the white gloves. I give him the keys I give him the keys to the engine. I give him everything. I mean, I just don't think Luck's the type to do that. He just seems way too. I wouldn't be shocked if Luck is somewhere like in like, you know, he's like climbing a tree somewhere in like Africa or something like that, like playing with animals or something weird. Like it seems like how Luck is, you know what I mean? He's just, you know, he's good. But if Andrew Luck, if something happened, I'm coming back and I want to be a Steeler. Yeah, dude, I would pick him up off the airplane myself and be like, yes, please lead us to number 8, 9, 10, 11, whatnot.
Maybe he could be the guy. Here's another good one in the Yinzer mailbag. Tim, who is your most overrated Steeler?
Anthony
right now,
Chickalo.
He's not a Steeler anymore. He's a Bronco. Who's your most overrated Steeler right now on the team? The most one that you think is just overrated.
Do we have to answer this question?
Yeah. I mean, it's in the Yinzer mailbag. We got to answer the question.
Let me ask a question.
Who's your most
overrated or my most hated?
Overrated. Who do you think is overrated right now?
So Terrell Edmonds is out of this conversation for me.
Yeah, well, because he's not even, you know, we all know that he's junk. We all know he's junk.
Who's the most overrated Steeler?
Who's the most overrated Steeler right now? Now, Tim may create some enemies with his answer here.
I know. My most overrated Steeler is Stephon Tuitt.
Oh my goodness. Are you serious? He did have a big contract. You're right.
He's getting paid $9 million. He's hurt all the time. He makes one play a game, if that. You're getting paid that much money. You better be a home wrecker.
Yeah.
And he went to Notre Dame.
That adds the back end, huh?
Yeah. That's my overrated guy. Who's yours?
Stephon, you know what? Again, I'm not going to be a fan favorite here. Again, just where I'm at. I
know exactly where you're going.
I'm just telling you right now. I don't like. I mean, if the hole's big enough, you can run a truck through it. He can get there. I don't like his vision. I don't like his durability. I don't like the way he blocks. Number 30, Connor.
You hold your tongue.
I'm just telling you that's
what is wrong with you.
I'm just telling you right now, and it doesn't mean
Connor Strong. What is wrong?
It doesn't mean I don't like the kid. I'm just telling you, when you put him up against the other running backs, I think you give Snell more of those opportunities. He'll be just like that. McFarland will be just like that. Again, I like Connor. I got to see his body of work for an entire season. I got to see his durability. I don't like his vision as a running back. Most of what you do is vision.
See, it's tough for me to say Connor because he doesn't. I mean, he's not getting paid like that. You know what I mean? It's if you're telling me overrated, you got to be getting paid, and there has to be super expectations. Like I don't expect Connor to be here next year. I just don't. You know, Tuitt, dude, you signed that contract, dude. You should be mauling people especially he signed basically a Hayward deal. You know, I don't say much as Hayward, or Hayward's making more, but like you should be wrecking shop. You're making $9 million as a defensive lineman, and he doesn't.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think he would be in a close second. He's disappointed me this year. You expect more out of Tuitt. You just do. You know what you get with some of the other guys too. Hayden's had a rough year too, but I think Hayden's starting to lose a step. He's got to be. Is he 30 yet?
Oh, he's way past 30, man.
Yeah, so you got to start thinking about what his replacement's going to be too. You can't be on top forever like that. So
if I'm the Steelers, like I said, I would be happy with them never drafting a defensive back ever again. Go out and find somebody. Go inside. If the one place the Steelers can thrive in free agency is in the defensive backfield, don't draft them because they can't draft defensive backs. They can't do it. They're awful at it. They're awful at it.
Who's the last great D-back that they got other than Polamalu?
No, are we talking
Secondary,
in the Tomlin era, nobody.
Yeah.
There is.
Let's say the Tomlin Cowher era.
I don't know what was like Carnell Lake and those guys. Were those Knoll or were they Cowher draft picks?
Cowher.
I mean, you had Carnell Lake. You had some pretty good defensive backs. Ike Taylor was. I mean, for everybody says he was still pretty good deep back. I mean, I just can't. In the Tomlin era, I can't name, and they've drafted a boatload of cornerbacks. I can't name one that's been good. I just can't. The closest one that I remember being half decent was the one they drafted. But he went to New Orleans, was good for like a year. I forget what his name was. And that's for me. That's the one infuriating thing about Tomlin. He's a defensive guy. He cut his teeth on being a defensive back coach, and you can't draft a defensive back. Drives me, but it just does. It drives me bananas. So to me, if you can't draft him, don't draft him.
Yeah, go
sign a free agent. You can get one in the free agency. Put your money there.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think you can. Yeah, that seems to be the worst position they draft for because they're good with linebackers, they're good with all the other stuff. But you're right, that's a bad hole for them. It is.
Their whole defense, you're great. I mean, linebackers, defensive linemen, everyone. The secondary is brutal. I mean, I think the only one that they have, like Edmonds stinks. He's terrible. Sutton is the only other guy that I remember them, and they have the kid they drafted from Michigan State 2 years ago, I think in round 2. They can't even see the field.
Yeah.
I mean, I just what are they looking at cornerback especially when you draft a guy like Artie Burns?
Yeah, Burns was terrible. He was absolutely terrible.
What are you guys looking at? I just that's one thing. For Tom, it just infuriates me. How do you miss on that many defensive backs?
He's got a pretty good track record in some other areas, though, like wide receiver. And, they've done pretty decent with line, and their linebackers obviously are pretty good. It'll be interesting to see how many guys they can keep next year with everything. I think this is a good shot for us. So, Again, it was a pretty good Yinzer mailbag. If you got any questions or comments, you can email us at yinzerbros@gmail.com. Again, if you got any comments about the store, if you want corporate sponsorship, we are totally open to corporate sponsorship, cookies, cakes, pies. We'll eat them all. Again, email us at yinzerbros@gmail.com. Later this week, we'll be breaking down the Cleveland Browns. But just as a little bit of a preview, Tim,
I hate the Browns. I hate them.
We know the Browns are the Browns are always the Browns. You know that. I would love to see them get a little bit better. Do the Browns do they terrify you, Tim? I mean, you are one to live in your fear sometimes. Do they terrify you?
Do they terrify me? Out of anybody we played, I think that, they're good, TJ. They're half decent. I mean, I'm not gonna say they're half decent. I'm not gonna not say they're half decent. They're good. Do they terrify me? No. I mean, Steelers should beat them like a drum because everything from Cleveland sucks.
This is true. So if the Steelers, if they beat the Browns, or they beat them pretty good, I mean, what does that speak to you about the team?
I'm going to dance on Cleveland's grave. No, what do you say about the team? I mean, I'm going to say good. They're 5-0, and their probability of making the playoffs are very good. I'm going to wait to see that heavyweight showdown between them and Baltimore.
Yeah, that'll be.
Then I will be like, hey, is this team a Super Bowl team or not? Because unlike Cleveland, we don't care about making the playoffs. If we don't win the Super Bowl, it's not a good year.
You're right. Our expectations are high, and you got to say this too. After this weekend of games, I mean, the Chiefs looked mortal. And the Ravens, they have their issues too. So, with Brady out of the AFC, the Patriots are a different team. Now, again, they're still dangerous. There's no doubt. I saw one of the polls and they're like, yeah, the Patriots are the number 1 team in the AFC. That's ridiculous.
Yeah,
that's garbage. But I'll tell you what.
I still think Big Bill Belichick's, he's playing the COVID like a drum. He knew Cam wasn't going to play. There's something happened in that building. He's playing it like a drum. Him and Ernie Adams are up there just playing the league like a fiddle.
If there is an ounce to be taken or an angle, Belichick's on it. I just don't care for him. I think he's a cheater face.
The one team I would be I think Buffalo's pretty good, man.
They are.
They're pretty good. They're pretty good.
This is my take on Buffalo. I think teams, they need to know how to win, especially when the chips are down.
Mhm.
And I think you learn that. They've learned how to lose. So it'll take them a step. It's almost like the Chiefs. Last year, one of the steps that the Chiefs took is they started to learn how to win when they needed to win.
Yeah.
That's the thing. The Patriots, when the money's down and it's tight, they just believe they can win. So we'll see if Buffalo can pull that off.
But I will say that this would be the year. This would actually be the year with the COVID, with not having fans in the stadium, that Cleveland and Buffalo, even though I hate the fan bases are great up there, that they would go deep and have a run, and none of their fans would be able to enjoy it in person.
That's true.
And I'm thinking too, if it did turn, I guarantee, especially up in Buffalo, if Buffalo somehow say they got to an AFC title game and this COVID thing's still going on, I guarantee if you made all those people in Buffalo sign a waiver they would fill up that stadium in 4 seconds. And you could actually say, hey, every other person sitting next to you probably has COVID, and you're probably chances are they're still going to do it.
You're right. I agree.
If there's any year of them some happen, it's probably going to be this year when their fans can't even enjoy it.
You're probably right. That's how it usually is. So we'll break down the Steelers Pittsburgh game a little bit later this week. That should wrap it up for tonight. Again, thank you for being with us here in the Yinzer Brothers podcast. I'm TJ. I'm here with my brother Tim, and we are the Yinzer Bros. We're shooting for a big victory next week against the Cleveland Browns. Pittsburgh, stay classy. It's an honor to support you and break things down. Wait, Tim's got something. Hold on. Tim, what do you have?
Oh, Canada, my home and native land.
Tim made the fact. He made the fact.
Oh, Canada, on God for thee.
Now, oddly enough, Tim sings. He knows the exact same amount of words to our own national anthem as the Canadian one too. Stay classy, Pittsburgh. We'll see you, baby.
Happy Thanksgiving, Clay.